Head over to BoardGamePrices.com to find the best price on Ishtar, Gardens of Babylon, and thousands of other games. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're in the desert and we're going to be trying to build the most beautiful gardens around Babylon. We're going to be laying tiles of flowers and flower beds, but we're also going to be trying to gather gems, plant palm trees, and just create a beautiful board as well. Today we're going to be taking a look at Ishtar, Gardens of Babylon. This is brought to us by Iello. It was just a big Gen Con release, co-designed by my favorite designer, Bruno Cathala. And so I'm going to show you how it's played, and I'll see you on the other side. Ishtar is a tile laying game where there's going to be tiles of all different types of shapes and sizes, and you're going to be placing them onto the map, gathering gems as currency, trying to get area control of fountains, also possibly spending gems to build trees for points, and unlocking all sorts of different abilities for points at the end of the game. Now here's the land of Ishtar. It's made up of a bunch of these large tiles with gems on them that are predetermined depending on where they are on the board. Now these tiles are double-sided. You can turn them any way you want and you can orient them in any way you want. I just decided to set it up like this, and so there's literally an unlimited amount of variability in the setup of this game. Now on your turn, you're going to end up taking one of these tiles. Now also, how these are set up is variable too. At the beginning of the game, these types of things are shuffled and placed in a specific order, and then you put those types of tiles like 3 in a row on it like this. So the order that these tiles are in is variable as well. This is important because on your turn, you're going to take the next tile clockwise from the watering can for free, or you can spend gems. Everyone starts with 1 gem, and over the course of the game, as you place tiles, you're going to be gaining gems. You can spend those gems, 1 gem for each tile you want to skip. So if I didn't want this one, but I wanted this one, I could spend 1 gem. If I wanted this one, I would skip these 2 and pay 2 gems. But in this case, let's just say we don't spend anything, we get this one for free. Essentially, we take this, we put the watering can there, and then we flip up the one that was taken on the previous turn just to kind of show everyone what's coming up later. Now when you place a tile, it has to either touch a fountain or another tile on the board. So let's say we're going to put this here. And when I do that, I'm going to cover these 2 gems, which means we're going to be able to collect these gems. So we'll place it like this, and we'll collect these gems and put it near our board. Now you'll notice that this one has sort of a person on there. That means you can, if you want to, take one of your assistants and put it here. This is important because you're trying to gain control of this fountain, and you do that by having these green circles are flower beds, and over the course of the game you're going to be trying to connect lots of flower beds on something that you control. Now only one person can control a flower bed, so nobody else can come in, put tiles, and then like take it over, but you are trying to have the most of these with your person on them connected to a fountain, because at the end you're going to get points for having area control majority for the different fountains. And at the end of your turn, you can plant trees. We start with a purple gem. We just got a purple and white. So I can spend the 2 purple and the white back to the supply and get this. This is going to be 6 points at the end of the game. So you can just stack them next to your board for the end game scoring. But then you get to plant the tree, and you must place it on one of these grassland fields. Now sometimes you might want to put them on fields that are adjacent to some of the flower beds that you control, because you'll notice that some of the tiles have this little symbol on it like this, and this is a skill icon. If you ever place a tile with that on it, you'll be able to activate a skill on your board by spending gems. Let's say I still had gems from a previous turn, or I just got these. If you do place something with that on it, you can spend these 2 gems, any 2 of any color, and you place them on one of these bottom skills at first if you haven't done any. And when you do that, it unlocks an ability. We'll go over some of these later, but what I want to show you is that to get to one of these top abilities, you have to unlock the one below it. So later on, a future turn, if I lay a tile with this, and I have 2 gems to spend, I can unlock this one, which will give me 2 points for each tree that's in a garden of one of the ones where my assistance is at. So for example, this tree would get me 2 points at the end of the game, but if I start building up here and start building a big garden, and I start building a lot of trees, I could start putting a lot of the trees around there and that's one of the sort of point salad ways to get points in the game. Now another option you can do with the trees is, I want to point out this skill here allows you to place one of these single flower beds. Now when you unlock that ability, you're going to be getting that single flower bed. Now let's say it was the yellow player that did that. They want to do that because now they can place this here. And this is important because when you're trying to vie for control of this fountain, it's going to be how many contiguous flower beds, which are these little round green ones, you have. So right now I have 3, but right now this player only has 1. So by doing this, this is going to sometimes link larger sections of their the flower beds together, because they're going to have more better chance of controlling this fountain for points at the end of the game. However, I know that. So when I built that tree, instead of putting it over with me, I could put it like this, blocking this player from being able to do that. So there's a lot of player interaction in this game and a lot of different ways you can score points. Now I showed you how you could place assistants on tiles or unlock skills with certain tiles, but there's also this icon, question mark. That essentially is a wild that could be either of these two. So players are going to continue taking a tile, placing it, and doing the things I've showed you until any two of these piles are completed, meaning empty, and then you're essentially going to finish the last round and score. But let's show you more about these skills. Now remember, to activate these, you have to play a tile with one of those two icons and have 2 gems to unlock the skill. This one allows you to put 2 gems of any color here, and you get any 2 gems of your color. So it's sort of a way of getting it. Now these are they're always one-time use, so once you unlock them, it's over. This one we kind of showed you already. This one is similar to this one, but it's a double one, so it can help you link your gardens together like that. This one we didn't really talk about earlier. It allows you to reserve a tree card from the pile. You put it next to your board, and you can essentially plant that tree later. Plus, you also get to gain an assistant. On the board is another assistant of yours, and this just allows you to have another one to create more gardens out on the board to possibly get you some more control and some more final end game points. This one allows you to reserve any tile that's there. So you can take a tile that is on the board and you put it here, and then when it's your turn to place a tile, you can place this one, or you can do the same method of choosing that I've shown you. And in this case, you would also get another assistant from the board too. Now on the top row, most of these give you points. Now this one is a sacred tablet, and you're going to get 2 points here for each sacred tablet that's adjacent to at least one flower bed that you have an assistant on. So for example, we control this flower bed because it's one contiguous one with here, and there's a sacred tablet here. So each of those is going to be worth 2 points, but there's lots of sacred tablets on, over the whole board, so you can use that as a strategy if you want. This one just gives you 7 points at the end of the game, and then each of these 2 symbols that you get when you get a tile can be used interchangeably. Essentially, everything's a wild for you there. This one here just gives you points for the different colored gems. Purple's 3, red's 2, white's 1. We've already talked about this one. And this one will get you 7 points for each unused assistant that you have in front of you, that you've actually gotten from these abilities here and you have not used. Of course, you start with 2 as well, so you may not use some of them, but any ones that you haven't used that you actually have on your board is worth 7 points. Now, at the end of the game, there is a score pad where you'll go through each of the different scoring steps. So here we have the amount of points you'll get for each of the trees that you've planted this game. You'd also get a point for each of the flowers on any of the contiguous flower beds that you control. So this assistance here, and since all these are touching, all this is this one contiguous flower bed. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 flowers. So that's 12 points for that one. You do that for each of the flower beds that you control. Then we'd see who's getting the points for the fountain. To control this, you look at who has assistance there and the size of their flower beds. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just each of these. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one would get it. Now, depending on the color, as you see here just above my thumb, the purple ones are worth 4 points, the red 6, and the white's worth 8. Whoever has the most gets those points. Second place gets nothing there. And then you get points for any of the unlocked abilities on your skill chart. Whoever has the most points is the winner. All right, well, there is Ishtar, Gardens of Babylon. I'll first cover the things I liked about the game. This, from the core being of this game, is, in my opinion, a simple tile laying game, because simple mechanisms, you're picking a tile and you're laying a tile, but I think the game has a lot of great depth there because of all the different avenues that you can go down. And let's talk about those. So I like the gems. It's cool. You're trying to figure out, okay, I need to get certain colored gems. Which tiles am I going to use to try to get them to maximize the most gems that I can? Possibly of the ones that I really need, maybe to plant a tree. Or am I just going to get as many gems as I can, not carrying the colors and using those as currency? So the gems as currency is cool because you're using those, again, not only to spend to plant trees, but you're also doing it to skip tiles. And that's important because sometimes when it's your turn, the next tile isn't going to be one that is going to be the best for you, and you'll need to skip some by paying some of those gems. That becomes even more important towards the end of the game. So I like how you can sort of use that currency in a couple of different ways. I like the area majority for the fountains because you're fighting over having the control of the biggest flower bed of those different fountains, and the different fountains are different amount of points depending on the colors of those. So I always like that sort of player interaction with that. There's definitely many avenues for scoring. You've got the planting of the trees. You have different skills that unlock you when you have a certain amount of trees. around your flower beds. You can unlock scoring for gems and go down that strategy. The first game I played of this, it was with Man vs. Meeple at their studio just before Gen Con. I went for a heavy gem strategy, and I did almost nothing other than just try to collect purple gems and get to the point to unlock that. I think I got like 36 points in just purple gems. And the next time I focused mostly on trees. And the next time, so there's trying to get the assistants and then not using them and get 14 points, things like that. So there's all sorts of different avenues that you can go. Also, maybe you just try to get the tiles with the most flowers and get a bunch of those out there. So lots of different avenues to go, even though all you're simply doing is placing a tile. I like that when you unlock those abilities, those skills, that you gotta unlock them in order. And that produces a lot of tension because, as I was just mentioning, you can get 2 points for every tree that's adjacent to a flower bed you control. Well, the last game I played, I had been working on that the whole game. I ended up getting, I think, 6 or 7 trees, and that was gonna be worth a good amount of points, about 14 points if I could line them up all around. And I did that, but while doing that, I hadn't yet unlocked that. And so when it got towards the end of the game, I had to find a tile that had the skill sign on it in order to finally realize the scoring of that at the end of the game. And so the tiles as they come in, there's a lot of tense because you're going to be figuring out, how do I get this big thing unlocked? Because the ones on the top are the ones that typically give you the most points, but of course you got to unlock that bottom one first. And so it does give you a lot of tension towards the end of the game, and I like that. The variability to set up is huge in this game. The different ways you can set it up. I mean, you can literally arrange those big tiles where all the gems and things go on any way you want, and they're double-sided, and you can arrange them any way you want. I mean, it's just almost infinite of the different variability of the setup. When I get done with this game, I felt like this game feels like a big game, but it's played in a short amount of time. 45 minutes says on the box. That's pretty accurate. Once you know what you're doing, you can play this. I think we played this as short as 35 minutes in one of our games. So it plays pretty quickly, but it still feels like you played a big game. Anything I didn't like about it? Not really, just some minor quibbles. Sometimes because there's some placement rules and some of them are a little bit hard to sort of see when you're first playing the game, but maybe your first few games you might miss some illegal placements, meaning you're bringing together 2 gardens that might connect 2 different fountains, and you might not catch it right away, and there's not really a good way to sort of back that up. So sometimes those little rules can kind of bite you in the butt a little bit if you're playing with people that haven't played a lot before, or you're in like your first few plays of the game. Also, towards the end, because there's only certain places you can go, and because of those placement rules where you can't bring, as I just mentioned about bringing 2 fountains together, sometimes you'll get a tile and you'll be like, oh, I think it can fit here, and like, oh no, it doesn't. It brings those 2 together. Oh, it doesn't go over here. It doesn't. Oh, maybe I don't want this one. Maybe I'll skipping at this one. Does this one fit? And sometimes as the game gets to the end, the tile placement can sort of slow down the game just a bit and waiting for other players' turns. But those are just really minor quibbles. If you like tile laying games and you like sort of not a full point salad, but many different ways that you can go, then Ishtar is going to be one you're going to check out. Did you miss the Game Topper 2.0 Kickstarter? Have no fear, it's not too late to get in on the ultimate gaming accessory. Convert your table into a high-quality gaming table with a fully portable Game Topper system and take advantage of some of the best 3mm premium gaming mats in the industry. New styles, new sizes, and new accessories can be yours. Upgrade every game you play by late backing now at GameToppersLLC.com.